Yo, what's up guys, my name is BananaRaccoon and this is my Feral Druid PvP guide for the World of Warcraft Legion pre-patch. In this guide, I'll be going over the optimum talents and rotations for Feral Druids. First on the talents. On the first tier we have Predator, Blood Scent and Lunar Inspiration. Predator resets the cooldown of Tiger's Fury when an enemy dies with one of your bleeds active. Blood Scent gives your melee abilities a 10% increased crit chance on enemies with a bleed on them. And Lunar Inspiration allows you to cast Moonfire in cat form, costing 30 energy and generates 1 combo point. Predator is quite nice in BGs as fights are short and people are always dying. When enemies are stacked, throw out a thrash and you could potentially have unlimited Tiger's Fury. Blood Scent is the best talent to take here for the 10% crit increase on your melee abilities. But Lunar Inspiration can be good in some cases like duels when you're having to kite or being kited, but still want to keep up pressure and build combo points. On the second tier we have Renewal, Displace a Beast and Wild Charge. Renewal is a 30% heal on a 2-minute cooldown. Displace a Beast is a blink on a 30-second cooldown, and Wild Charge is a leap on a 15-second cooldown that does different things depending on what form you're in. Wild Charge is the best talent here. It has a short cooldown allowing you to stick to your target a lot easier. On the third tier we have the Balance Affinity, Guardian Affinity and the Restoration Affinity. Each different affinity grants you abilities from that spec as well as a bonus. Balance increases the range of all abilities by 5 yards, Guardian reduces damage taken by 10%, and Resto heals you for 3% of your maximum health every 5 seconds, and if you're at full health, it heals an ally for the same amount. Guardian and Resto are the main two you'll be taking. Guardian for the damage mitigation, and Resto for the healing. I found that the Resto works really nicely in PvP, as Guardian requires you to be in bear form a lot to build rage to use the abilities. Balance Affinity is very situational. I wouldn't really use it in arenas or very much in duels. The only time I'd use it would be in BGs to stand back and deal damage at range with the Moonkin spells. I'd still say Resto and Guardian are better in BGs, but Balance Affinity can be fun to play around with. On the fourth tier we have Mighty Bash, Mass Entanglement and Typhoon. Mighty Bash is a 5-second stun on a 50-second cooldown. Mass Entanglement is an AoE root on a 30-second cooldown, and Typhoon is a knockback, again on a 30-second cooldown. The only real viable talent here is Mighty Bash. On the fourth tier we have Soul of the Forest, Incarnation and Savage Roar. Soul of the Forest refunds energy per combo point spent, Incarn is our burst ability, and Savage Roar is an extra finisher that gives us 25% increased damage when active. Out of these three, Incarnation and Savage Roar are the most viable. Incarnation gives us a really powerful burst on a 3-minute cooldown. I would recommend using Incarnation in 2s when against double DPS, and in duels if the duel will be really short. Otherwise, I'd recommend Savage Roar for the high sustained damage. Soul of the Forest is also viable for BGs, but Savage Roar and Incarnation synergize really well in PvP, at least in the pre-patch. On the fifth tier we have Sabertooth, Jagged Wounds and Alun's Guidance. Sabertooth makes our ferocious bites refresh our rips on the target. Jagged Wounds makes our bleeds tick 33% faster, and Alun's Guidance gives us 5 combo points, and then an extra 5 combo points over 5 seconds on a 45-second cooldown. Currently, the best two talents are Jagged Wounds and Alun's Guidance. Which one you choose depends on what level 75 talent you chose. If you chose Incarnation, take Jagged Wounds, and if you chose Savage Roar, take Alun's Guidance. Finally, we have Brutal Slash, Blood Talons, and Moment of Clarity. Brutal Slash is a strong AoE ability that has 3 charges, the cooldown depending on your haste. Blood Talons increases the damage of your next 2 abilities by 50% after catching Healing Touch, which you want to line up with your Rip, Ferocious Bite and Rake, and Moment of Clarity, which gives you 3 charges of Omen of Clarity instead of 1. All 3 of these are viable, but currently Brutal Slash will be the talent you will want to take. Against fully geared players in instant PvP, Brutal Slash is hitting for around 50k, and then when it crits, it hits for around 80k. Health pools are currently around 360k, and 3 charges of Brutal Slash will be potentially doing around 240k in 3 globals. With your bleeds on top, unless the target is receiving heals or using defensives, they're going to be almost dead in the opener. So to recap, your 2 builds will look something like this: Blood Scent, Wild Charge, Resto Affinity, Mighty Bash, Incarnation, Jagged Wounds and Brutal Slash, or Blood Scent, Wild Charge, Resto Affinity, Mighty Bash, Savage Roar, Alun's Guidance and Brutal Slash. And now onto rotations. Feral Druids use a mechanic called snapshotting. Snapshotting is basically when your abilities do more damage due to damage modifiers. Tiger's Fury increases damage by 15%, Savage Roar increases your damage by 25%, and Blood Talents increases your damage by 50%. When applying bleeds, you will want to make sure you have as many damage modifiers active as possible for big bleed damage. The main playstyle of Feral is having your buffs and debuffs active as much as possible. Always make sure you have Savage Roar active if spec'd into it, and then you will want to make sure you have Rake and Rip up as much as you can. If talented into Savage Roar and Elun's Guidance, your opener will be this: Elun's Guidance, Savage Roar, wait for 3 combo points, Rake, Tiger's Fury, Rip, and then 3 charges of Brutal Slash. After that, just make sure you keep up Savage Roar and your bleeds, using Shred as a filler and using Ferocious Bite in between Savage Roar and Rip. And if talented into Incarnation and Jagged Wounds, your opener will be this: Rake, Shred, Tiger's Fury, 3 charges of Brutal Slash, and then Rip. However, if you are at 5 combo points before the 3rd Brutal Slash, you want to use Rip before the remainder of your Brutal Slashes. Again, after the opener, make sure you keep your bleeds up and use Shred as a filler, and Ferocious Bite when you don't need to reapply Rip. I hope you've enjoyed this guide and have found it helpful. If you have any questions, please post them in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to answer them as soon as I can. I have been BananaRaccoon, and thank you for watching.